Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lex and I would absolutely love it if you love the content, if you would consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps to drum up engagement. It really helps to get the videos out there and yeah, it inspires me to keep creating. Let us get into Big Brother. Obviously, as you know, I was not here on Friday yesterday because the feeds were down. As we know, Thursday, the feeds were down pretty much all day prior to the eviction. And then after the eviction, the feeds were down for about 16 hours. So we just didn't really see a whole bunch of anything. Obviously, as we know, Quinn was evicted in a 3-2, 4-2 vote. With his two votes being Angela and Leah, they were the ones that decided to try to keep him. Now, Quinn has been going around the interview junket, talking a little bit about his decisions. Apparently, he discussed that the bracelet that Rubina was trying to give him during the eviction, where he said, no, thank you, I don't want that. But then he took it, said jury duty on it. And I was like, Rubina is wild for that she was planning to give whoever left to the jury first a jury duty bracelet. I just thought that was wild. But yeah, I mean, Quinn is out of the game. I do think that it is interesting how they completely blindsided him. I would have thought that, like they typically do on Big Brother in most cases, especially with people who I feel like are mild-mannered or people who are not really gonna blow anything up. I would have thought they would have at least told him the day of, you know, while the feeds were down, or even right before the actual vote, like, hey, it's gonna be you, really sorry, love you. I do feel like this group is not doing the best with jury management, and I think that's gonna come back to bite them, obviously, down the line. We've seen so many seasons. If you watch Big Brother Canada this year, we saw with Dougie versus Bailey, I really think Dougie didn't win because of his jury management skills. Like, people did not want to vote for him. They were bitter. And I do think that this is going to be a bitter jury. And I say that because I think this group of people, they are very emotionally charged. They really do look at people as actual friends. And I feel like a lot of people in this game are not the biggest strategists. They're definitely more of like social, friendship-based players. And so because of that, I do think we're going to get a bit of a bitter jury. And I think people need to start thinking about that kind of stuff. You know, that's my take on that there. At the end of the episode, we are made aware that Ainsley is going to be out of town and she's going to be getting a replacement. I don't remember the full acronym, but it spells out Jankie. And we find out that, you know, there's going to be some twist with Jankie. One last thing about the episode, Julie Chen, Moonves, was not there. Julie revealed she has the panorama on Instagram, and that's crazy because Julie has never not hosted a live episode before. And so I thought for Quinn, it's so sad that he's not going to see Zingbot. He didn't get to have his interview with Julie, but he is apparently a big fan of Jerry O'Connell. He loves that movie that I now can't think of the name of. But yeah, so that was kind of Thursday's episode. We find that out, and as I said, the feeds are down basically for the rest of the night, all the way up until the morning. Like, the feeds come back around like 9, what was it, 10? Was it like 11 or 12 p.m. Eastern yesterday? So that was Friday, and yeah, we come back to, first of all, everybody's sleeping in the backyard. Okay, they have all these cots up.
It's freezing, and this whole yard is gonna flood. Yay!
We see that they're sleeping in the backyard. It says Jankie World, okay? We find out they in Jankie World, and they're all sleeping, and we have no idea, like, no idea what happened. We do find out that Leah is our HOH this week. And that's it. Just when you think the game is gonna calm down, the one person that you probably didn't want to win wins, and it's Leah, okay? And Leah, I would have thought at least was going to bring us some heat this week. Now, we find out that the house guests are sleeping in the backyard this week, okay, and they are going to be there all week, like 7 full days. They have to live there, and all they get to do is eat pizza and ice cream, which sounds horrible. Now, for me, as someone who's a YouTuber and posts clips, it's gonna be fun trying to take all the plane noise out. I just want to tell y'all in advance, I am sorry. I'm going to try my best in Final Cut to reduce some of that plane noise so we can hear their voices, but it's already been a lot trying to hear them with the planes, the wind noise. It's been rough trying to hear them on the feeds. So immediately my first thought is Chelsea in trouble this week? Like, if we find out our HOH is Leah, is Chelsea in trouble this week? Because remember, Leah is kind of smack dab in the middle of the two trios. And as of last week, we think, oh, like her and Chelsea, they didn't have the best run. They didn't have the best situation. So that was my first instinct to think that potentially Chelsea was in trouble. Now, we find out the competition was some kind of endurance-like competition. It sounded like they basically had to hold up a big marshmallow on a skewer. And we find out that the final 3 was Cam, Leah, and Angela, supposedly? Because Leah repeatedly talks about how she offered safety to those two, I don't know, in exchange for them dropping or something. I'm not really too sure. So Leah has some one-on-ones. One thing to keep in mind with this whole Jankie world thing, they're in the backyard. It is very hard to find places to talk. Basically, the only real place you can have like a conversation is upstairs, how they have like the chairs upstairs on the balcony or whatever. That's the only real place. So there was some one-on-ones, but not a lot of, I feel like, talk about many things. So Leah and Cam, they have their first one-on-one. They have a pretty long conversation.
I'm gonna just start being someone that people feel comfortable just like throwing to the side. And like, it just like was a realization that I had, like, especially watching like the groups forming. And like, I don't.
Leah, once again, is explaining how she felt like a black sheep in the game. She's never been part of any groups. She says, you know, everybody kind of got really close, but I felt left out of everything. When I get close to someone, they get taken away. She says, you know, first it happened with Joseph. Now it happened with Quinn this week. Now she felt like she was being interrogated and attacked for who she was aligned with. And she says she really regrets it. And I don't know, to me it sounded like I was curious of like, oh, something happened on the feeds while they were down, or if it's just like she was talking about last week in general. Now, Cam says, look, like I was tight with Quinn from like week 2. Like obviously we were in alliances together, but after his HOH, when things kind of fizzled and like he said, let's solidify the 5, let's solidify the 5, you never came. Like, he never came to me, and so therefore I was not sure. And that's a regurgitated Chelsea line. You know, that's what Chelsea said all of last week, that Quinn never solidified something. Quinn never solidified something. So it sounds like Cam just kind of regurgitated that line from her. Now, Cam does go in further to explain why he didn't really trust Quinn. A lot of it's not that important. But Leah says she does not want to put T-Core up right now. But if someone wins, she may have to put them up. She goes in again about how she loves T-Core, she trusts T-Core, she really wants T-Core here. And again, this has been the thing with T-Core, where people don't want to touch her because they think she's so nice. I feel like Chelsea and Mackenzie are the only 2 people that are like, T-Core, we need to target T-Core. I feel like almost everybody else is just like, she's so nice, I would never want to. Now, Cam says whoever is next to T-Core should be the target because she's going to stay no matter what. Cam says, look, like, if I was HOH, if I was in power, I would have put up Rubina and Chemo, or potentially even put T-Core first, but have the conversation with her and then take her off. Or if she wins veto, and then just basically put the other one up, you know, if T-Core wins. So definitely target that trio. And that, from the beginning, was like what Cam was pushing, what Leah was kind of implying to Cam, that she wants to target that trio. And she says she feels like that him MJ, and Chelsea have her back. So we see it already that Leah has made a choice, right? Because at the end of the day, Leah could have chosen either to take a shot at each trio, or she could have chosen a trio to kind of gravitate towards. And it's very obvious, and you'll see in these next, like she has like 2 more one-on-ones today, but you obviously see in these conversations, she has definitely chosen the Chelsea, Cam, MJ trio, which to a level makes sense to me because she already has individual relationships with Cam and Mackenzie, so she thinks, right? And then obviously with Chelsea, they made up. I just think in Leah's dream world, if she could pick a trio to be a part of, she seems like she really wants to be more part of that one than the Cam, Rubina, or than the T-Core, Chemo, Rubina. Although I do think that like Leah does really like T-Core. So Leah and Rubina have a conversation, and Rubina talks about how she felt like.
But yeah,
I know that. So it's just like it's getting like to be really scary in here, like especially like just with everything. And then I, inevitably I did have to promise them.
Rubina talks about how she felt like the HOH4, meaning obviously Chelsea and Co, they felt unsafe this week. Leah said, look, I had to promise those two safety, meaning Cam and Angela, and again, they were in the finals. So Leah says she knew as soon as Quinn got on the block that he was going to go home. Leah says that she, Quinn, and Joseph were never a trio. They were just looked at as a trio. She said, obviously, like, we just got close last week, actually, or 2 weeks ago. And I was with them because I felt like I related to them on a personal level. Now, she tells Rubina that she is part of her plan in the future and that she has some parts of the plan, but not all of it. So she still needs to kind of figure out some things, make some moves before, she can for sure say what's going to happen. Rubina claims she fully understands. Now, Rubina also says that the Girls Alliance still stands for her. She says, look, if I get in power next week, you're going to be safe. I have a bigger goal at this point. And I do think it's funny that Rubina always tries to kind of default back to the Girls Alliance when she's in danger. I feel like that alliance doesn't apply whenever they feel safe or she feels safe. But now all of a sudden it's like, remember the Girls Alliance? You were part of that, Leah. Remember that? Now, Rubina says she does not like what Angela was spreading about the trio that she's a part of. And, Leah's like, I understand, but again, I promised Angela safety. I'm not going to touch her. And Leah was not going to touch Angela regardless, I feel like. So overall, she does tell Rubina that she's going to go talk with more people, but listening to her words very carefully, she did never promise Rubina safety. And Rubina was aware of that too. She goes around with, she's talking with T-Core. She tells her, look, I have a feeling I'm going up. I have a feeling I'm going up. She says this throughout the day that she feels like she is not safe. So I think that there was definitely kind of an inclination from the conversation that like things were not going to look good for her. So next up, Mackenzie and Leah, they have their one-on-one.
that's fine. This is true. So I don't even want to consider that.
Leah discusses T-Core being a potential renom option. Mackenzie does agree and says at this point, they should have known this. Like, they've painted themselves a certain way, obviously implying like they should know that because they are a trio that people are going to start coming after them. Mackenzie says, look, T-Core and Chelsea, though, are really close, and it does kind of annoy me how Chelsea doesn't really want to touch her. But she says, look, we could probably take care of that during the double. Very important, because again, I'm glad that Mackenzie is starting to realize, like, yeah, sticking with Chelsea last week made sense for her. It does not make sense for her to continuously stick with Chelsea, because Chelsea has webs and, like, people, like, especially with the trio. And I said this last week, with the trio, Chelsea, for the most part, I think is safe with them. Mackenzie is not. And I'm glad that Mackenzie is starting to realize, okay, like Chelsea is kind of close with T-Core and the trio. So Now, Mackenzie says that Chelsea and Cam are also very close. She says like those two are a duo, basically. But she says that they would likely protect her and Leah. So Mackenzie says it is a good week to see where Chelsea's head is at and who she's really rocking with, by maybe seeing who she votes for. But she says that if one of the trio gets out, that in either case, Chelsea's not a moron. She's going to fall in line with the numbers. Mackenzie's exact quote. So they do discuss whether they should initially put T-Core up or backdoor her. Leah says, look, I cannot initially put her up because then she will stay and she will put me up. But they do pretty much agree on the noms being Chemo and Rubina, with T-Core being the replacement nominee. So Leah, as I said, officially decided she is going to take the shot at that trio, and she wants to trust the Chelsea. And again, if I'm Leah, I think that's a decent idea, only because, again, Leah does have relationships with Mackenzie and Cam, even like outside of that trio. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Definitely let me know in the comments if you think Leah's making the right call to go for T-Core's trio rather than the Chelsea trio. So Leah and Chelsea do have a one-on-one. Chelsea tells Leah, look, starting this week, you only need 3 votes to stay, and the trio has the majority. Of votes. Chelsea says, look, I did not take out one of the trio on my HOH due to timing, but at this point, when there is only 3 votes needed to get someone out, there is no way that anyone wins sitting against them. Chelsea says, look, last week I told T-Core to her face, like, you are in a trio, like, people are going to be gunning for that at this point, like, so she's aware that it's a possibility that people will be taking shots. But they do discuss how T-Core continues to throw competitions, how she doesn't really want power. And Chelsea says, again, T-Core's not going to go home next to anybody. So they talk about how if one of them wins the veto, meaning one of them in the Chelsea trio, or Leah herself wins, how the majority would keep the votes the same. So she wouldn't have to really worry about putting another one of them up. But even in any event, they know, like, they can just put up the next member of the trio. Now, Leah says, look, T-Core did protect me during, the Tucker Chelsea says T-Core protected Leah during the Tucker HOH, but her name was brought up. So it's something to keep in mind. But Chelsea is definitely hardcore pushing for Leah to take the shot and break up that trio. And again, if you're Chelsea, that is like the best case scenario where it's like, hey, I wanted to do that, but I didn't have to be the one to break the shot. And even if T-Core goes home, which she probably won't, but even if T-Core goes home, I kept my promise that I wasn't going to put her up, So it all works out in the end, I think, for Chelsea at least. Now, Leah says Leah feels like she owes Chelsea because she didn't put her up last week. And this is where it's like, T-Core and Rubina need to be doing better campaigning. Like, I don't know why, but T-Core and Rubina chose to, like, sit back, lay back, Chemo as well. I don't know why they did not choose to campaign harder, because they have pertinent information that Chelsea was considering Leah potentially, that Leah was in Chelsea's mouth. This idea that Leah has that she was always protected with Chelsea is just bizarre and berserk. When in reality, the only reason why they chose Quinn first is because they thought that he was going to get them out in a double eviction that still has yet to be announced, by the way. So T-Core and Leah, they also have their one-on-one, and Leah says, look, I really need to honor the deals that I've made in this game. It is tough. I don't really know what direction to go in, but I do care about you a lot. T-Core says, what are your long-term goals in the game? Like, how do you see yourself getting to the end? And, Leah says, like, look, you know how Leah talks a lot. So, she doesn't give a whole lot, but she does tell Tikor that she wants to see her go far, and she does really like her and want to be with her in the game. So Tikor says, like, do I fit into the plan? Like, do I fit into your plans to get into the end? She says, I wasn't going to win the comp, but even if I did win, just know I wasn't going to put you up. Remember that. She also says to Leah, it's amazing that you haven't been into any alliances since the beginning, but you've managed to hold yourself up. And I'm like, not the best statement to tell somebody who feels alone, feels outed, and wants to target your alliance for that exact reason that you mentioned. I feel like Tikor has done a really bad job at that, because even last week she had mentioned to the HOH crew, hey, I haven't been on the block yet. It's like, not the best route to go about. Now, she said, look, she does see Tikor in her plans, like I said, and she wants her to go far. So the feeds do go down, and mind you, as the feeds go down, we haven't seen a one-on-one with Chemo, we haven't seen Leah and Angela talk, and the feeds go down for a while, and it doesn't seem like a lot happened. We do find out that Chemo and Leah just never got to have a one-on-one, but we come back, obviously, to the nominations being Rubina and Chemo, and after this, Chemo is really not happy. He's ranting to Tikor and Rubina the whole day, saying he's gunning for the veto, saying he's going to do what's right. But if he says if he goes out, at least he did what was right, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of where we're at. As I said, not a whole lot of conversation, because I mean, yes, like Tikor, Chemo, Rubina, they had their typical game convos, but you guys know I don't recap those unless there's new developments in the conversation. But other than that, yeah, like I said, with them all being in the backyard like this, a lot of conversations just kind of Also, the feeds were cutting out intermittently throughout the day, so that left a lot less. And a lot of them were just sleeping. A lot of them were just sleeping throughout the day. So anyways, that is where we are at with our nominations being Rubina and Chemo. The plan going forward, if one of them comes off, Tikor goes up, and most likely whoever's sitting next to Tikor probably will go home. But I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be that sure of that. I don't know. They seem to think Tikor 100% has it in the bag and no one would vote her out. I don't know that I believe that. Anyway, if you made it to this point in the video, that means you like the videos. So I would absolutely love it if you would help to drum up engagement on the videos by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Please share the videos with people in your life that like Big Brother, that enjoyed the show. Also, please make sure you are subscribed to the videos. Make sure you have the bell button on so you always know when I drop a new one. And make sure you are still subscribed, because sometimes YouTube is on that funny stuff. Anyways, we will see how things are with them being in Jankie world, with them being outside all week. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!